Good day, class. Today our topic for discussion is argumentative essay. Argument is stating objectively the facts and reasons for a particular stand or point of view. It is meant to persuade the reader to agree with the viewpoint. So in this type of essay, the writer is called upon to make critical examination of the topic, to evaluate it, and take a stand. Explanation. Like other types of essay, argumentative essay comprises the title, salutation, the body, and the conclusion. That is to say that you cannot start writing argumentative essay without writing the title, and preferably should be written in capital letter. And we have the salutation. It depends on how it is presented, because it could be written or verbal. If it is written, there is need for salutation, but the salutation should not be too casual. But if it is spoken or it is presented verbally, you need to observe the rule of salutation, most especially the first speaker, and the other two speakers can stand on the existing protocol set by the first speaker. So the salutation depends on which type of argument are you writing. Are you writing it or you're presenting it verbally? It could be in form of speech too. So it depends on how it is. So like other types of essay, it has its body. And in the body of argumentative essay, remember it is an argument. So the speaker will bring points to refute his arguments, to prove his arguments, trying to convince his audience by the effective use of words. And we have the conclusion, which is also very important. After he has presented his points to refute his arguments, he will now draw conclusion based on the points he has raised. It is presented in form of speech or written. I've said this. It could be presented in form of speech, and if it is presented in form of speech, that means the title should take the shape of speech. If it is presented in form of argument, then you are to just write the topic or title for discussion and then continue with the other part of the essay, that is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. There are always two sides in argumentative essay. You either propose or you oppose. That is proposition and the opposition. If you are proposing, that means you are supporting the motion. If you are opposing, that means you are against the motion or you are against the given point for argument. An argument may be developed to prove a point, present a viewpoint, or to balance the two sides of an issue. So it depends on the question asked. If you are to prove a point, that means you are taking sides. And you can write the argument to present a viewpoint or to balance the two sides of an issue. That means you are not to take sides, but you are to balance the two sides. You are to talk on both sides. It depends on how the question looks like. The context for argumentative essay. In arguments, your attempt is to make your reader or audience accept your views on a given issue as the only valid option. Any situation in which the issues can be rejected, refuted, or sustained call for arguments. Therefore, you may use arguments in speech or writing in any of the following situations. That is to say, there are situations that called for arguments. For instance, you may be called upon to debate a point. You may also be called upon to defend an idea or policy or proposal. You may be called upon to defend an accused in a court of law. So this one normally takes place in court. And when you find yourself in court, you have to behave yourself, because trying to defend someone may land you in trouble. So anything that has to do with court have to be done in a very conscious way. So you may also be called upon to convince your parents or others to do certain things for you, of which I know that this is so common among students. Most at times you convince your parents to buy some things for you, or you want to go out and your parents are very strict, so you try to convince them using convincing ways to convince your parents to see reason for you to go out. So all these are arguments. Language. Talking about language, we refer to diction, that is, choice of words that the writer employs to convince his reader or his audience. So to express certainty and emphasis in arguments, here are some expressions you may use. For instance, definitely, fathers are more useful to children than mothers. Or certainly, fathers are more useful to children than mothers. It is certain that fathers are more useful to children in the family than mothers. To tell the truth, as a matter of fact, there is no doubt that fathers are more important to children in the family than mothers. I have good reasons to believe that fathers are more important to children in the family than mothers. It is quite evident that fathers are more important or useful to children in the family than mothers. So all these are expressions that a writer can employ to show certainty in order to convince his reader or his audience. To refute or prove points in an argument, use the following expressions. It is no longer tenable to say that fathers are more useful to children in the family than mothers. Or, it is unacceptable to assert or claim or believe that fathers are more important or useful to children in the family than mothers. It is fallacious to assert that the assertion or claim that fathers are more useful to children in the family than mothers is irrelevant or baseless. So all these are some of the expressions that the writer can use to prove or refute his points. Features. Like other type of essay, argumentative essay also has its features. For instance, it has the title. You cannot start writing argumentative essay without a title. And remember, I've explained this before. In writing the title, it depends on which type. Are you writing it in form of speech? then the title will take the shape of speech. If you are writing it in form of arguments, then it will take the title will take the shape of arguments. For instance, if I'm writing to argue a point, not in form of speech, I can use this topic. A father is more useful than a mother to children in the family. Salutation. There is salutation in argumentative essay. You cannot just start writing your arguments without salutation. You have to recognize those that are present during the occasion. So, for instance, you say the chairman of the occasion, the panel of dependent judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the salutation, but remember I've explained this before. If it is verbally or is presented in form of a debate where audience are present to listen to your argument, then this salutation has to be vivid. You have to recognize the presence of each and individual that is in the occasion, that is present in the occasion. But if it is written, don't be too casual about the salutation. You can say it in brief. For instance, you can say the chairman of the occasion, the panel of dependent judges, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and you begin your argument. So it depends. When it is written, don't be too casual about the salutation. But when it is presented verbally, this salutation is very necessary. Introduction form part of the argumentative essay, and the introduction must be suitable, purposeful, and interesting. And in writing the introductory paragraph, the writer needs to take note of the following. Salutation also form part of the introduction, and the recognition of guests also form part of the introduction. More so, the writer is expected to appreciate God for giving him the opportunity to be part of the argument. And lastly, he is supposed to inform the audience the side that he's taking. Is he for or against? So it all depends. So all these form part of the introduction. So another thing is the body of the essay. In the body, there are always two sides, the proposition and the opposition. So it depends on the side that the writer is taking. Is he for or against? Then he should present his points in favor of the side that he is taking. And he is expected to present valid points to convince his reader or his audience. And apart from the introductory paragraph, it is expected that the speaker should at least present his points in 3 paragraphs. At least. It could be more than 3 paragraphs, but at least 3 paragraphs should be used to present his points. And to be on the proposition is to argue in favor of a given topic. And to argue on the opposition is to present opinions against the topic. So the writer or the person that is taking part in the debate should take note of the side that he's taking. Things to consider when writing argumentative essay are: 1. Think about the topic and write down as many arguments as you can think for or against the given topic. Secondly, you define the terms that you think may be misinterpreted. That means if you are the first speaker in the debate. Another thing is rearrange the points under for or against. And then you take the side that has the stronger points. That means you have to think about the 2 sides given. and then you now take the site that has more points, that you have so many points to convince your reader. More so, present your arguments in clear terms and use appropriate language. Remember, I've given you some expressions that you can use to show certainty or to refute or prove your points. Conclusion should be based on evidences. That means the evidence that you have given. You have to conclude your argument based on that. You validate your points with facts and reasons. So you cannot expect your audience to be convinced when the real facts or reasons have not been given. So you have to take note of that. Another thing is be logical in organization. That means you have to organize or arrange your points or your ideas sequentially or in a chronological order. So these are some of the things that you need to consider when writing argumentative essay. Conclusion. You may be asked to present your arguments in form of speech or argument for or against the given topic. That is to say that from the question asked, you will know whether you are to present the argument in form of speech or in form of a debate. For instance, if a question is asked like this: you are the chief speaker in a debate on the topic, the television has done more harm than good. Write your speech for or against the topic. That means you are to present your argument in form of a speech, and the title should take the shape of a speech. So to address this question, that means you are to write the title like this: a speech delivered by Macy John on the proposition that the television has done more harm than good at a public symposium organized by Korogoro Youth Club on the 10th June 2020 at Vincent Hall, Korogoro. So looking at this is the topic or the title that is suitable for this question, because you are to address this as a speech. So it has to take the shape of a speech. But when the question is asking you to debate, to write your argument, for instance, you are the chief speaker in a debate on the topic, the television has done more harm than good. Write your arguments for or against the topic. So in this case, you are to present your point in form of argument. So this one, without waste of time, you are to write the title based on the question given. The television has done more harm than good. That should be your topic, and then you continue with your debate. So take note, it is based on the question asked. If you are to present it in form of speech, then you know how the title should look like. But if you are to present it in form of arguments, then the title should be brief based on the question given. So have a good day.